Hey guys, Connor from Unleash the Ghouls here. I edited this video a long way back, shortly after Season 1 of Invincible finished. I dropped this with the title, Omni-Man is absolutely terrifying. Due to copyright, it was taken down. I've gone back, made some tweaks, and I'm now releasing it again as a Nightmare Fuel episode. So it wasn't originally scripted for Nightmare Fuel, but it pretty much is. So here you go, enjoy. Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome to another Unleash the Ghouls deep discussion. I'm somebody who's been a very on and off fan of the superhero genre. I kinda judge every film and TV show against itself, and every franchise has its high and low points. I loved WandaVision, but wasn't so hot on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Adored The Dark Knight, but The Dark Knight Rises can get fucked. However, despite the overcrowded market of superhero content we have these days, with new movies and shows coming out seemingly every other week, along comes Invincible, and it's quite possibly one of the greatest comic book shows I have ever seen. From here, things are going to get pretty spoilery, so if you haven't seen Invincible yet, do it. Anyway, created by Robert Kirkman, the man also behind the Walking Dead comics, Invincible was a comic book series before being picked up for a TV adaptation by Amazon. The premise takes multiple common traits often seen across superhero media. An origin story, trying to keep a secret identity secret, a team of heroes trying to stop the bad guys, even a lot of their costumes and powers are clear parodies of other more well-known heroes. Invincible here is our main hero, college student Mark Grayson, voiced by Stephen Yeun, whose father also happens to be pretty much the most powerful hero known to the human race, Omni-Man. With the alias Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man is from an alien civilization called Viltrumites, who possess Superman-like powers of flight and bone-crushing strength, and he's travelled to Earth seemingly to be its protector, while leading this universe's equivalent of the Avengers or the Justice League, called the Guardians of the Globe. At first, Nolan is a pretty pleasant person, but with shades of a toughened, no-fucks-given instructor. Once Mark starts finding his feet with his powers, Nolan doesn't go easy on him. He doesn't put up a guard to slowly build Mark up and doesn't pull any punches. He wants Mark to learn to fight and take hits authentically. But this trait of Omni-Man's character is a cloudy foreshadowing for what's to come. The final scene of episode 1. Jesus Christ, if you weren't hooked into watching the rest of the series after that, I don't know what can convince you. Throughout the episode, we spend some time with the Guardians and see their powers, start getting used to their personalities and abilities, beginning to form relationships with them for the series to come, until Omni-Man shows up at their headquarters and massacres them. It's blood and guts galore. Every single death is disgusting, and even without being live action, the animation and sound effects make every single punch feel thick. Already, Omni-Man has just shown how dangerous he is. A room full of the world's greatest team of superheroes, and he single-handedly butchers the lot of them without any sign of them standing a chance. There's a secret organization led by a man called Cecil who monitors Omni-Man, and the plot thread is slotted into the series here where Omni-Man is being controlled by a higher power to perform these terrible acts. And for a little while, I believed that, but as each episode passed, Omni-Man becomes progressively more intimidating and terrifying. There's some of the most tense scenes I've ever witnessed here because we, the audience, have been made well aware just how powerful Omni-Man is. There's probably 2 or 3 times maybe in the whole series where he looks like he's taking a bit of damage, but the rest of the time, nothing phases him. Laser firing satellites, airstrikes, fighting other powerful heroes and monsters. He always ends up on top relatively unscathed, and that is scary. Nothing can topple him, and the only reason more people aren't dead is simply because Nolan hasn't killed them yet. How daunting's that? Oh yeah, so there's a point to bring up actually. Mark's mother is voiced by Sandra Oh, and throughout the series she suspects Nolan's guilt for the killing of the Guardians. She loves Mark and doesn't want him to be harmed, so pretty much links up with Cecil to try and investigate what Nolan's doing and why he's doing it. All of that combined, along with Mark's sudden discovery of his dad's dark side, coming when he rips the reanimated corpse of the Immortal, one of the Guardians who Nolan Nolan kills in episode 1 completely in half in front of Mark. Nolan and Mark have a conversation where Nolan lays all his cards on the table and we learn his true motivations, which are even more terrifying than his powers. Unlike the story we had told previously, the real purpose of the Viltrumites is pretty much Nazism. They strive to be the most superior civilization in the universe by seeking out the impure and slaughtering them, leaving only the strongest and purest behind. This conquest has led Viltrumites all across space, seeking out planets to join the Viltrumite civilization, and in this case, Nolan has come to Earth to eradicate it of its weakest people. He's stronger than any other hero, so he kills the main team of heroes for being weaker than him. Now, the main heroes aren't around to save the day anymore, so more alien invasions are going to happen, where more weak humans are killed, sifting through the numbers, leaving behind only the best survivors. This ideology is nightmarish, made even worse by the fact Omni-Man practically can't be defeated, and could wipe out Earth's population in a day if he really wanted to. And what's worse is even Cecil and his organization know that. Earth's best line of defense is already aware that they stand a tiny chance of victory if Omni-Man switches. What makes his talk with Mark even worse is he reveals how Viltrumites age far slower than humans, so that most of them live for thousands of years, which includes Mark as he is half Viltrumite. Omni-Man flat out says everyone you currently love or treasure is going to die hundreds or thousands of years before you. Anything or anyone you cherish will decay, so it's completely pointless making relationships. Nolan even described Mark's mother as practically a pet. From Mark's perspective, being a human most of his life in his mind has a bond with humanity and their emotional spectrum. And even though at times Nolan's felt that humanity, even that's now faded away, leaving only the monster behind. But from Nolan's perspective, he doesn't properly understand the array of human emotions due to him living for centuries in a society where emotions and relationships are an obsolete weakness. So now, both Omni-Man's physical attributes and his mental attitude and goals make for possibly the scariest combination of powers and motives I've ever seen in this genre. A few comparisons could be made to other famous characters. A lot of people have brought up Homelander from The Boys as a comparison, who I was also fascinated by for similar reasons. He too is an extremely powerful hero, even has laser vision, and is practically evil Superman, throwing the veil on of being a Captain America-esque symbol of justice to the public, but behind closed doors is an emotionless void of terror. Speaking of evil Superman, we also got the movie Brightburn, which effectively took the Clark Kent backstory and flipped it on its head, so that the young boy discovering his powers grows to be bad rather than good, with horrendous consequences. And I also get vibes of Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, specifically the scene where he says to Star-Lord that he wishes he didn't have to put the tumor in his mother's brain. So again, we have a brutal yin-yang of perspective where human beings are so limited and weak, so that any kind of affection in the grand scheme of things is too small to be even worth thinking about. However, I think Omni-Man surpasses all of the aforementioned characters. His powers surpass everyone. The moment that made my jaw drop to the floor is when in the final episode he fights Mark. Mark summons all the fire, rage, defiance, power, and emotional energy within him to deliver the most powerful punch he can, and Omni-Man doesn't even blink.
Please.
Every punch is like a train wreck to the point where it's just colourful flashes with how quickly Nolan hits his own son. Speaking of train wrecks, another gobsmacking moment is where Nolan holds Mark in front of an oncoming train, so they both smash through the train, turning every single passenger to pools of blood and organs, and Mark can't move an inch. Literally hundreds of innocent bystanders are brutally torn to shreds during this battle. Even a pilot who Mark luckily saves at the last minute from falling to his death after Omni-Man smashes through his jet fighter is immediately killed when Nolan grabs his head and squashes it like a watermelon. Then later, after throwing Mark into a mountain so hard it causes a fucking avalanche on the town below, Omni-Man punches Mark over and over again until he knocks his teeth out. We get an amazing sequence where it cuts back to Nolan and Mark at younger ages, where Nolan celebrates Mark hitting a home run in a baseball game. Young Mark has his front teeth missing from being a kid, before it cuts back to the fight where his teeth are missing again, having just been knocked out by his dad, and Mark is just helplessly gargling on his own blood on the ground. Very few characters have made me feel such dread. Everything just connects here. Omni-Man's nearly impossible to beat, with an outlook on the universe and everyone beneath him that makes him such a loose cannon. His wife is a plaything and his son is a punching bag. The people he once tried to save are just like grapes in a wine barrel. But Omni-Man wants champagne. He's presented like a slasher villain at times. In episode 7, he wants to find out where Mark is, so he asks his friend William. He lands next to William's car, walks up to the window, and interrogates him by punching a dent in his car roof. And he just talks like he's sick and tired of waiting for the answer before he's even asked the question.
Where's Mark, William? You were supposed to drop him off an hour ago.
And I must say, the casting here is perfection. J.K. Simmons voices Nolan, who comic book fans will recognise as J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man films. But here he channels his Oscar-winning performance as music teacher Fletcher in my second favourite movie ever made, Whiplash. An instructor who pushes his students to the limits of the knife edge just to see how resilient they are.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference!
Simmons has this element to his voice where he can be just as scary when he's calm as he is when he's angry, and it makes for the perfect performance as Omni-Man. I simply can't wait to see what direction the show goes in the future, but for now, Omni-Man has changed how I view villains. He's possibly the best all-round package of a villain I've ever seen, and that's coming from Robert Kirkman, who created Negan. So Ghoul Gang, let me know what you think of Omni-Man and Invincible in the comments and what you're looking forward to from the next 2 seasons, which have now been confirmed. But until they come around, I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and I'll see you next time.